Good morning, everyone. My name is Arnold Clifford. I come from Bacopto, about 18 miles west of Shiprock, and I do a number of things, all kinds of different types of research and studies and lectures and stuff like that. I do geology, botany, desert ecology, marine science, and I also teach Navajo history and culture. And a lot of my training came at a very early age. My botanical training, I started off when I was like about 9 years old. My grandmother started leading me out in the field, teaching me about the Navajo names of plants and the Navajo classification of plants, their uses, and also our stories related to the different deities that are involved in Navajo ethnobotany. Yesterday I lectured extensively about our deities, and here's a depiction of what was left over from yesterday. And today I want to talk about weaving. I'm going to talk about the first part of this lecture is going to be about weaving, about rugs, about the different parts of rugs, all the symbolism, the meanings of the different parts of the rug, like a loom, and then a little bit about the history and where my background in weaving comes from. I grew up with weaving probably all my life. As far as I can remember, as a baby, I could hear this sound in the background at night. Throughout the night, it's all silent. So my grandmother would be sitting there weaving, weaving away. So over time, when I grew up, I started to help her out. I started to see her methodologies, her techniques, how she developed her rugs, how she started from the beginning. And she started training me about the different aspects of weaving, about how she learned it, how she acquired it. And she started talking about the different deities that are involved. She started talking about the loom system, how the loom was set up. Navajo weaving, believe it or not, this is one thing that I'm really stressing with the younger Navajo people, our younger generation, is because we're being taught a lot of misinformation by not only some of the people from the scientific community, but also people who study us, archaeologists and anthropologists. And one of the things that they attribute to is this Chaco. They say there's no involvement there as far as Navajos are concerned. We have very extensive knowledge about Chaco. You see the thickness of this book? If I put all the stories about Chaco together, we'll probably have 2 or 3 of these. A lot of things happened there. Our red ant way, part of our beauty way, our lightning way, as well as our weaving. Part of the stories go back to Chaco. Every building there has a name, a Navajo name. Every building has a Navajo story related to it. We have a story about how people abandoned it. Instead of the Navajos or other coming down from the Bering Strait, and how we started settling from Canada on downward, the stories from Chaco leads us from the people going from here into Canada. The other way around. It all starts from Chaco. And so our weaving there's a ruin they're called on their maps, they call it Wajija or Wajiji. That's just kind of a mispronunciation of the Wiji. So the place where Wajiji ruin is among a bunch of sage greasewood, and that's what we call that area. And this is the place where one of the areas where Spider Woman live. Spider Woman and Spider Man. They also lived on Spider Rock in Canyon de Chelly. And our stories about weaving goes directly back to Spider Woman. She gave us all the knowledge of weaving. Spider-Man was the first one that produced spindles. The first ones that were produced were like abalone shell, turquoise, jet, and white shell, representing the 4 different directions. And when they use this, when they're using this like this on their lap, they pull it towards them. What you're doing is you're asking all goodness to come into you, saying, come on, give me wealth, give me goodness, give me a nice rug, give me nice products, give me soft goods. So every aspect of weaving, there's prayers, there's song involved. There's a song for spinning, a song for carding, a song for setting up the loom, a song for putting in the cords. Every part of it has a song. And when you look at a loom like this, even the loom has a lot of teachings here. This was built by like a 90-year-old woman. So I'm really glad that I have a little small part of her piece here, part of her work. The bottom board represents the ground that you stand on. Up here on top represents the heavens. This is the Milky Way here, zigzagging across the heaven. This is our clouds here. And the warp that comes on down is the male rain. And the cords that you see along the side that they call the salvage cord, the reason why that they're twisted is lightning coming down from the earth to the ground, lightning striking. So when they're doing that, tapping on this, pounding the warp down, the weft down, they're recreating that sound of thunder and lightning. You know, they're asking rain to come and bless us. So there's a lot of symbolism even in the loom itself. So it's called nanolje. Nanolje means it's been strung up in a parallel fashion like that. All right, now we have all kinds of weavings. Here's another example. Our baskets. A lot of stories involved in here as well. Talks about the woman's cycle, talks about the earth, the universe, the heavens, the 4 sacred mountains. So there's all kinds of stories related to this as well, all related to weaving. Here's another form. This is very rare to find. This is hard to make. There's a 4-strand rope made out of rawhide. You know, I can do it in 6 strands as well. So this is we don't practice no more. I'm going to try to make one out of a yucca cord, a yucca rope, and use it for roping my goats. So that's what I keep that for. So in terms of weaving, a person that started to start weaving, they're introduced into that world. In the older days, what my grandmother told me about was her mom was a weaver for a very long time. And when she got up to like about 6 years of age and she was capable of starting her own loom and start weaving, she took her early in the morning into the mountains, because we live at the foothills of the Carrizo Mountains. And they found a really nice spider web. And what they did is they prayed to that spider web, to the spirit of spider woman. They put corn pollen on the spider web. And then my grandmother's mom, she grabbed her hand and put her hand through that spider web. And then she rubbed it like this over her hand, over her shoulders, her arms. So right there was that transition of taking on the qualities of spider woman. From that point on, any type of design, any type of rug, any type of weaving, she mastered with ease. And, you know, a lot of weavers, like 1 or 2 patterns, 3 patterns, they vary on the colors. But when you go through this process, You can create like sand painting rugs, like 2 Gray Hills, Tizan's Bus design, Red Mesa design, go to Clagato. You can do the whole spectrum of designs with no problem at all. And that's what I'm trying to bring back to these young ladies, is to teach them about this stuff, is to teach them to do this properly so they can become very good weavers again. The collections that they own here, we're going to see, they're very neat because one of the things that was taught too among the weavers was not to be very symmetrical. You know, today's market, economy, money-driven market, we're forcing these weavers to produce perfect rugs every time. We're telling these young weavers, make all your designs the same, all even, nothing, nothing offset or on one side or anything. For a Navajo weaver, that's very dangerous. It shortens their weaving career. It gives them psychological problems. It'll give them physical problems later on for doing that. Because weaving is about chaos, disorder, balance and unbalance, beauty and imperfection. And they disguise it in their works where you wouldn't be able to really recognize it until you actually start looking at it and analyze it in detail. Let's say you had a design on one side with combs, serrated combs. On one side you might have serrated combs with 6 teeth, 6 combs. And then you don't realize it, but on this opposite side, there might be like 8 of them. So that's what they did. Even in the color variation, like you'll have like gray to dark gray to light gray, how it shifts. That's all about nature. You see how the clouds move, like during a sunny day, all of a sudden it's real bright and you go into the shade again. And then that cloud will move off and you'll get back into the brightness. And that's what that represents. And one of the things that's a misnomer as well is what we call lazy lines. These lines that are kind of like at an angle like this, You might have a rug and there'll be like a little line that goes up at an angle. So you might have maybe like a design like this. And then, it'll go into this design. So these are not what we consider lazy lines. If you look at a spider web like this, concentric circles, each one of these circles are connected by a little web. So these lazy lines are these little webs that hold the whole thing together. And that's why they're intended to be put into there. So it's really neat, how you can see this in rugs. Let me show you some really good examples here. My grandmother, like I said, she wove for 80 years. Out of those 80 years of her weaving, she was very, very humble about it. She never uttered the word master weaver and that's what you hear today. So these are the different types of weavings that she did. Here's a smaller example. Right after I lecture on these, I'll point out some of these a lot more closer. This is one of her classic Tizan's Bus designs here. And one of the things that's often people try to look for is what they call the spirit line. There's a small spirit line here. Oftentimes it doesn't show up. There's several weaves. Like in this one, there's no spirit line. When you look at that, there's no spirit line in this one. But if you look at the very top here, on this portion right here, there's a small gray bar right here, right above this outer edge. That's the spirit line there. And that's how she included it in on this rug. And when you go back to this one here, These rugs are considered not flat. They're considered like three-dimensional. They're in layers. Here's the first layer here. Here's the second layer, third layer, fourth layer, fifth layer, like in layers. And if you look at the background, a lot of Navajo rugs will have a grayish background. That's like your palette. Look at these paintings. Look at the background, the palette that they painted on. It's a beige, grayish color. And that has a specific name. We call that sapasakad. Sapa means grayish. Sakad means you laid it out as a background. And then if you look at the around the edges of these rugs, they call these ashen in Navajo. Ashen, it means one design that's going all the way around, repeating itself. This is the literal translation of it. And it's supposed to represent like chain lightning at night between clouds. When you get darkness and there's a lot of clouds and you get chain lightning between the clouds, and that's what it represents. Here's one from the Red Mesa design that they call Dualism. This is called Dualism. It's very similar to like the eye dazzler, but this is considered part of the Tizan's design. And this is a very good example of what I talked about, how if you count every one of these down, you'll have like 6, 7, 8, 8, or like 6, 5, 4, 4, stuff like that. And it varies throughout the whole rug, but you have to take time to look at it. And then if you look at some of these very closely, there'll be like little knots tied to them, like little balls. And those little knots are like knots of pollen. It's for protection. Protection not only for the weaver, but the person that's going to receive that blanket, that rug. So on certain ones of these, there's like little knots of pollen balls in here. I believe there's one right up in here. And then another thing that you look for too on some of these rugs is you lift it up like this into the. You try to look through them. There are actually holes in them. If you look at the spider hole on the ground, there's a little opening. That's why somewhere in the rug they usually leave a little hole as well. And that's how they were taught. Now, if you look at this one here, very closely, we'll take a look at this later on when we come up. All the teeth around these, see these white teeth? There's 3s all the way around, except for this last one. There's 5 of them here. So that goes back to that chaos and disorder theory. And then if you look at this maroon colored outline in here in the middle, it extends all the way out. It'll go up to here. And then on certain ones, it goes like all the way through here, and then the brown starts again. So they're all interconnected like that. Here's one that's what they usually do too. You got to look for. You see the little. These are called which means one sitting upon another. Now look at these two. See how it's black on the outside, on the top, and white on the inside? Look at the top two, how they reversed them. So that's another thing that they did. She also made a vest for me. And then you turn it around, a real nice rug pattern in the back. And you can see this whole thing going all the way around the neck, all the way down the side, and all the way around the bottom. So this was her version of the nebepi legendi. Like women's dress, this is the male version of that, nebepi. Here's one of her saddle blankets. Use natural dyes partly. So that's look at the fringes at the bottom. The purple was obtained by a plant called which is ribes, the berries of ribes, and he produced this really neat lavender color on those. So this is one of her fancier saddle blankets that she made. And here's a more everyday use saddle blanket she made as well. And this one I described to her the geology of my home area. And once I described the geology of the mountain, she produced this rug here. And this has a lot of really neat features that she's drawn in here. If we get a chance, we'll take a look at these and look at all the really neat features in here. Now, one of the things that's also taught is there's a male side and a female side to each rug. These rugs are considered people. When I used to ask my grandmother, what are you going to do with your rug? What happened to all your old rugs? She goes, she goes, oh, they're probably out traveling somewhere. They're living with somebody, walking around, you know. So they actually think of them as people. And in certain cases, they're actually made where there's the male side and the female side of a rug. Just like us humans. A woman has a male side and a female side. A man has a male side and a female side. When you stand this way to the east, our Navajo north arrow is to the east. And so we look at the sun coming up. The woman stands on this side. The man is to the north side. This side of your body is the protective, positive male side. This is the side that we carry our bows on. We carry our bow guards. We wear it on this side. On this side of our body is the female side. It's the nurturing, loving, tender side where we take care of the babies and raise the children, you know. And within the inside of the two parents are the little kids, the babies. For the female standing on the southern side, on this side of her body, her right side, is her male side. Because that's the side that she carries all her weaving tools, all her cooking tools, her cooking utensils. She fights a battle of hunger, poverty. She keeps her family from starving, and that's why this is her fighting side. On her inside is her loving side, and it's where she nurtures and takes care of her kids. Even rugs that's applied to that. Nature, we apply it to nature. We apply everything. There's dualism, male and female side of things. In the stars, Polaris, there's Cassiopeia and the Big Dipper. The Big Dipper is male, Cassiopeia is the female. So, good examples. Now look at this in a rug. This is not done very often these days as well. So there's another He's non-supposed to design rug. You've probably heard about Lucy Whitehorse. She's like a number of years, about a decade ago, she won the Best of Show here during one of the August shows that they put on. This is her smallest rug. She makes rugs that will fit from this wall 3/4 the size of this whole wall. That's her average size that she made. And the way this one's produced is very traditionally made. You can tell right here when you look at it. Let me hang it up right here temporarily. Use this as our focal point. Now if you look over here, look at this color here. See how it's a little bit different? This one's more reddish. And this is a little bit more like purplish in color. Now look at the base of them. This one doesn't have a leg, but this one has a leg. Now look right down the middle here. See this green one? It's right in the center. Now at the bottom it's offset this way, a little bit to the side. Now look at the designs. Right down the middle, this side smaller, much more thinner. This one is longer, larger, and a little bit more robust. So this side of the rug is the male side of the rug, which has a little bit larger designs, a little bit more robust. Whereas the other side of the rug is the female side of the rug. So that's what they did as well. So I thought this would be important to bring up to you folks, because you're going to be out there giving tours and talking to people. And also, this is the knowledge here is kind of like my gift to you to go out even in the galleries and say, wow, look at these. It's going to give you a different outlook on these rugs, a different perspective. It's not just something beautiful hanging on a wall. You know, there's a lot of prayers that went into this before these were even produced. So that's why I think part of this aspect of this rug deal is very important to cover. Here's another one that's locally made from Tizansbos. A young lady by the name of Marie Tom. One of the things that the younger weavers don't really do is the selvage cord along the edge. See, this is more like the Mexican blankets where they just flip it over the last two warps, you know. Now on the older traditional weaving style, it's woven in there. The whole thing's woven in. The reason why that young weavers don't put this anymore is they probably don't know how important it is. And also they probably can't control the tension of it. Because once you make it even a little bit too tight, your corners are going to start curling up like that. And so the reason why I think this is very important, because I explained it within the loom, it's a part of nature. If you make rugs like that without the edges, it's like you're excluding lightning out of nature. You're excluding that part of thunder. And when you do that, you alter the atmosphere. You alter what's going on out there. You guys, I don't know if you've lived here long enough, our seasons are not traditionally 4 seasons anymore. It's starting to go to a 2-season year, you know. The winters extend into sometime into midsummer. I mean, good examples, a couple of years in a row. Up in Kanta, one time there was like 8 inches of snow in June. Kanta, Arizona, Monte Valley. You know, and then sometimes like our winters, December, it'll feel like spring morning. You know, real warm. That's not supposed to happen. So there's a lot of things that, you know, there was predictions that were made based on salvage cords and based on other things that we see in today that's happening. And this was one of the ways that we kept our universe in order by doing things correctly like that. And what this thing does too is it provides 2 extra cords, and there's the 2 end cords here, and it produces what we call the tassel. The neck ashdi jannele means jannele, what means, see how it hangs over like that? If I get like sit over the edge of the table, leave my legs hanging over, that's what it literally means. The legs are hanging over. And by saying that these are people, male and female, this is their legs. And it's better, a rug looks better if you have multiple tassels. When you have, this is a beautiful rug, but there's only 2 tassels. You know, this thing will, if you don't take care of this properly, it'll unwind, and then your weaving will start unwinding. So the whole thing was held together with that selvage cord as well. So that's a very important part. So later on, after I get down to my next small section, we'll take a look at some of these again. We'll put them over here temporarily.